Welcome to the West Point Lake Update. I'm your host, Rocky Millenbine, Park Ranger with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. On today's show, we will have guests discussing the use of firearms and hunting on West Point Lake. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. With us now we have Nick Holbrooks. You're a wildlife technician with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and you work at the West Point Lake WMA, correct?
That's correct.
And this time of year is one of your busiest times of year. I know we've talked about this, and you've got a lot going on, and we're glad to have you here so you can tell us about it.
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. And yeah, it is a busy time of year for me, especially, or folks in my position. We're floating around all these other WMAs as well, trying to help out and keep everything moving, keeping all these hunters happy who are taking part on all this recreation we got available. You know, like you said, big time this year. Deer hunting, been a great winter so far.
Good.
A lot of nice deer killed.
And I think a lot of people that are watching the show, maybe they didn't even know that we have a wildlife management area on West Point Lake that's actually managed by the state of Georgia.
That's right.
You know, so we wanted to get you on so you could kind of tell us about that, and really, what's the difference that you would say? You know, the Corps, we manage a lot of parks, and we have hunting ground, but you guys got a little bit different setup with the WMA. Right. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, generally, you know, obviously this particular wildlife management area is a cooperative between our respective agencies managed by the state. Generally, the biggest user we see are obviously hunters. Several small game dates available, lots of archery deer hunt available, firearms deer hunts are available. On restricted dates, I would advise folks to see our popular guide, or more commonly known as the hunting reg, and it's broken out very specifically in West Point WMA. We do see lots of what we refer to as non-consumptive users, you know, bird watchers, mountain bikers, things of that nature. Don't see near as many of them as we should, because it's a you know, great place to go check out.
Right.
And you know, during the summer months, we lock the gates, and you know, it's like having 10,000 acres to yourself. You know, you get out there and hike and whatnot. So
some very beautiful property.
It is. It certainly is. A lot of big mature pines, and we're been working with David Scott.
Sure.
And a good bit here lately, and getting some timber harvest going, and really looking into some longleaf pine restoration and things of that nature. So a lot going on up there, and been a great partnership in the short time I've been here with y'all. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned hunting, and the hunting seasons, and your hunting seasons don't necessarily go along just with the state seasons. How's that work differently?
That we pretty well on these wildlife management areas, seeing how we set the regulations, we can plug these weekends in and subtract in any ways we see fit. Most of the time we're trying to keep success rates up, so we have very restrictive dates as far as firearm hunting. There's pretty good opportunity for archery hunting, lots of small game dates for the squirrel and the rabbit hunters, see some coon hunters, you know, some fur bearer hunters, you know, see a lot of those guys. They've got a lot more dates to hunt, to work with than the deer hunters do, but we do that, so hopefully when the deer hunters do come, they have a greater chance of success. And as you mentioned, just running a little different, you know, well, that was pretty well it in a nutshell. Just trying to keep those success rates up, so we restrict the dates of availability.
So it's generally, if I understand correctly, kind of they say firearm seasons for deer will be specific, say, weekends. That's
correct. That's right. Generally, they're a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, or Friday and Saturday. You know, they generally kick off that first week of rifle season, but you know, we have the specialty hunts. We have the past several years we've done an honorary license holder hunt for the first weekend of firearm season. Then you know, late in December there's a primitive weapons only hunt, and then you know, there's some everybody's welcome hunts in there as well.
Right. So. And really the best thing to do probably is to get those hunting regulations,
that's right,
you know, well before hunting season and check it out.
That's right.
And you also mentioned that you have to have something added on your Georgia State hunting license as well, correct?
Yeah, yes. For the wildlife management area, you have to. They generally refer to as a WMA stamp, wildlife management area stamp or permit. You'll have to be sure to ask for that specifically. If you buy your license out separately, those who buy a sportsman's license, they're covered. They don't have to buy a separate permit. And a lot of guys end up spending about $80 when they don't really have to.
Sure.
So, you know, if you've got a sportsman's, you're covered. If you don't, be sure you have that wildlife management area stamp.
And that's not just for West Point WMA, that works for all of them across the state?
That's correct. That's for all the wildlife management areas statewide, as well as the public fishing areas. The closest one from here being in Talbot County, Big Laser Creek PFA.
Okay.
You know, nice little public fishing area. I think that one's around 200 acres. Of water there. Real great little place to fish.
Yeah, and I know there are beautiful places all across the state, and you get to work not just here at West Point WMA, but you get to travel all over the state and work
within our region, certainly. Generally, folks, I'm sure folks watching this show have probably seen me out and about before. I generally will see me at West Point, but just as frequently at Blanton Creek down in Harris County, Big Laser that I mentioned just a second ago in Talbot and Upson counties, and Joe Kerr's in Meriwether County, and even farther east than that, I'll stretch out and be helping out as much as I can. So.
Sure. And another thing that you guys have that I love personally, use a lot, is you have a shooting range.
That's right. Sure do.
And what's the name of the shooting range?
It's Jim Hackley Shooting Range. Jim was the area manager at West Point for a lot of years, and very well liked in this part of the state from what I understand. I never got the opportunity to meet him. But yeah, that's another great recreational opportunity for folks in this part of the state.
Absolutely, and there really aren't many areas like this that that you can take your firearm, sight it in. Right. Not just hunters to sight in their rifles, muzzle loaders, that sort of thing, but handgun users as well. Correct?
Yeah, that's right. Just in my own personal observation, most of the guys I see are just recreational shooters, not necessarily just sighting in their rifles or muzzle loaders for hunting season. I definitely see a seasonal spike in that when the fall's coming, but I see a lot of guys, shooting their sporting guns, their pistols and their ARs, and different type of weapons.
Great.
And, having a good time doing it too.
Absolutely. So. And it's a really nice setup. Especially when you're trying to reach out and get very accurate at a distance, it's not often you can find a nice flat spot that you can feel safe to shoot at, but really what you guys have, it takes care of everything. You've got the, I guess you'd call it like the dirt berm in the back that prevents any ammo from going past it, and you've got the tables set up. And tell me about some of the amenities that you have there.
Well, it's bare bones. We've got the shed there, the berms out there. There's a few faint markers. I hope in the future we get to do a little bit of renovation and get those back in place where you can tell 25, 50, and obviously 100 yards out there at the base of the berm. But it's bare bones, as I mentioned. Just the sheds there, the benches are there. Hunters, the shooters will need to bring their own targets, and they need to be cardboard or paper, so it's something that doesn't shatter or will leave litter.
Correct.
And just making sure that they're placed so the target, or when the projectile goes through, they hit the berm and not bounce ricochet off the ground and things of that nature.
Okay.
And a lot of rules there, but they're generally safety minded, pretty common sense stuff. Eyes and ears, as we refer to them, earplugs and safety glasses are required for use at use of the range. So they need to make sure they have those in place. Unload your firearms when people are going down range, things of that nature. Watching your muzzle, safeties, and just very, very common sense stuff. Trying to keep people safe, and we've got several of these things statewide, and we've had pretty good success at everybody staying safe, in my opinion. So
yeah, well, you know, it could be a dangerous thing if someone, like you said, doesn't use their head. And,
that's right.
And there's specific rules that are out there, and that's why they're there,
for
safety.
Right.
Because,
that's exactly right.
Because I know what I always say is we want you guys to come visit, stay safe, so you can come back again. And I'm sure you guys are in the same business.
We absolutely are. You know, we like to brag on our safety record on these public use areas. And I think we owe that a lot to the thing that people are mindful that there are other people there and kind of take a little more heed. You know, just as a low rate of accidents on our public use lands, and
yeah,
I'm proud to say
absolutely,
that.
absolutely.
So,
you know, safety is something that the Corps and the state of Georgia DNR take very seriously,
right.
And you know, and it's that diligence that keeps people safe.
That's right.
What is this? Is the hunting range? Is it open to anyone?
Anybody that wants to come. The only requirement as of now is there's a sign-in sheet. We like to monitor usage, so we like to get numbers of users. So there's a sign-in sheet. You sign in daily, and go at it. You know, as I mentioned before, your targets. You have to bring your own targets, and please pick up the targets in the brass. Yeah. And it helped keep the place looking as good as we can keep it. Got some volunteers that like to help kind of pick the place up, and then, you know, just some good Samaritans who are there. You know, there's a dumpster there for use of the shooter, so use it, throw that stuff in the trash.
Well, and you mentioned volunteers, and you know, as we, you know, with, you know, budgets are always it seems like they're always not what we would like them to be, but there's a lot of people out there that I know are looking for something to do to help out, and especially outdoor enthusiasts. This would be right up their alley.
Absolutely.
Are you guys actively looking for more volunteers?
We're always looking for some help. You know, it seems like the volunteer help we normally get, not quite what we're looking for. The timing's bad, you know. But we're always anxious to have some volunteers on, and I've been kind of fishing around for a while now, you know, looking for some volunteers who might want to stay up there, you know, several hours a week and just kind of help folks abide by the shooting range rules and kind of keep the trash picked up.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we got nice red shirts that we'll give them, you know, that say DNR volunteer and things of that nature. So we're always looking for volunteers.
And how can somebody get a hold of you if they would like to volunteer?
The easiest way, I would say that our regional office, as much as I'm in and out of the WMA office, I'd say our regional office would be the best. That number is 478-825-6354. Is Region 4 Game Management. Just call them up and tell them whatever you got going on, what question you have, and if they can't answer it, they'll forward you to the person that can.
Good.
So, and generally got a good staff over there at the not our headquarters office, but our regional office, and you know, generally they can pretty well get your questions answered or to somebody who can.
Absolutely, that's the most important thing. I don't know everything, but I always say I'll find out somebody.
That's
that
right.
can
Somebody knows the answer.
You know, we've been talking about the shooting range, and we want people to use it, to get it, you know, take fully advantage of what you guys got out there. Where is it exactly?
It's right just a couple of miles north of the Chattahoochee River on Highway 219 or Moody Bridge Road, whichever one you're more familiar with.
Okay.
So right there on the right-hand side of the road, you might pass it, but you won't miss it.
Yeah.
You can whoop right around and see it. There's a big sign, big brown sign right out there on the side of the road.
Okay, great. And you know, we talked about safety, and I would guess along with that is, you know, some hours of operation.
That's right. Hours of operation for the shooting range, Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. until sunset. And Sunday is noon until sunset.
Okay.
So 7 days a week you can go out there and shoot. Just be quiet. Don't be out there Sunday morning.
Okay, great.
So.
And you know, you guys got some upcoming changes coming over the horizon?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to implement a new pass for our non-consumptive WMA users, and the shooting ranges will be a part of that. We call it our GORP Pass, Georgia Outdoor Recreation Pass. The shooting range here at West Point WMA are exempt from that right now. probably January of 2013, I believe we will see those changes put on West Point WMA. As of January 2012, they will be only on state-owned lands and some of our more popular WMAs in the northern part of the state. Okay,
but people still right now, they need to just come on out, you know, use the range and stay safe and enjoy yourself.
That's right. That's
great. Well, Nick, we really appreciate you coming on and being a part of the show and informing me as well as everybody else watching.
Well, I'm glad you invited me along. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And stay tuned because we have more great show. Welcome back to the West Point Lake Update. With us now, I've got my co-worker here, Derek Wilkerson, who is in charge of the hunting program at West Point Lake. Derek, how's it going?
Hi, everything's going great, Rocky. And glad to be here.
I know right now is a busy time of the year for you. You know, we're right in the peak of hunting season in both Georgia and Alabama.
Correct.
And I guess the question that really everybody wants to know is how's hunting going at the lake?
Well, it started out slow, of course, due to the warm temperatures and weather that we had. But it's starting to pick up now. I've been monitoring the hunting areas that we have on public land, and some of the reporting is starting to increase.
Okay,
so
good
that's
deal.
A good thing.
Yeah, I know. You know, we're getting into the peak of deer season. You know, and I know there are a lot of people out there, and I know you're working really hard to make sure that everything's going as smooth as possible. But you know what? We got a lot of property, and there's room for more hunters out there.
That's correct.
And you know, today I wanted to really go over how people that are watching the show today can get everything they need going to be able to hunt at West Point Lake.
Okay.
And one of the big things is West Point Lake. To hunt here at West Point Lake, you need a permit, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The procedure that we go by is, of course, first of all, you got to have your regular state hunting license, whether it's Alabama or Georgia. If you're going to hunt the wildlife management areas, which is the areas that are located on the northern part of the lake, you also have to have, besides the regular state issued license, you have to have a Georgia wildlife management area stamp, and that you can get that if you contact the wildlife management areas there on their property. That area is managed, and they pretty much do a good job. The guys there at Georgia, the Department of Natural Resources.
Okay, yeah, they've got a great staff up there, and you know, these permits that the Corps sells, they can be picked up at the office. Is that correct?
Right. Other areas that we have, which are on Corps land, pretty much surrounding West Point Lake, like I mentioned before, on top of the regular state issued hunting license, we require you to purchase a Corps property permit, and you can purchase that permit for $20. Those fees pretty much cover administration fees. For the hunting permits and the hunting maps. To purchase a permit, you can come into our visitor center office there at West Point Lake, or you can call and we'll take payments over the phone via your credit card.
Sure.
That number there at the office, if you're interested, that number is area code 706-645-2937. And the receptionist there, she'll be gladly to help you. And it's pretty much a quick turnaround. Once you call and submit your payments, she normally puts that permit, and you'll receive a map of the designated areas with that permit as well.
Right, and the map is a very important thing too, because it really shows it's a map of the entire lake, and it shows all the areas that are available to hunt.
That's right, Rocky.
Because not every area is a huntable area, correct?
That's right. As Rocky's mentioning, on the map, all the areas are color-coded. Based on the type of weapon that you are allowed to use for that specific area. So just be sure to kind of pay attention to your whereabouts, and I would advise you to purchase the permits early if you can. We normally try and have permits and the maps in our office ready for sale the 1st of August for each year. That's pretty much the first of hunting season. So we pretty much try to have those permits and maps in our office ready to go for sale.
Right, and you mentioned color coding, and what you mean by that is, I guess, different weapons are allowed.
Correct.
What are those different categories?
The different areas that we do allow, we allow shotguns, no rifle whatsoever. You can't use any type of buckshots in those shotguns. We do allow you to use slugs, depending on the area that you're actually hunting. We'll allow you to use primitive weapons, which represents your black powder or your muzzle loaders. We'll allow bow areas as well. So like I say, if you're interested, please feel free to call that office and ask to speak with a park ranger, and we'll be glad to help you. But like I say, once you do receive your permit and map, I do advise you to pay special attention to the areas that we allow you to hunt.
Right, and the great thing about having, like you said, different areas with different weapons allowed is if you're an avid bow hunter, you don't really want to be in the middle of a bunch of muzzle loaders going off or shotguns.
Absolutely right.
Because it's a different type
That's
of hunting, really. And usually when deer are being shot at by firearms and you've got a bow and arrow, it just doesn't work out real well.
It's a no-win situation every day.
But and you mentioned that no centerfire rifles are allowed. That's a little bit different than the state regs, but it's a safety thing at West Point Lake, and all the regulations you spoke were deer, and there are different times a year that small game hunting and such is that allowed. Correct?
Right. We do allow hunting for small game animals, which are your rabbit, your quail, your raccoons. Species of that nature, and as I mentioned, that's one of the main reasons why we don't allow you to use buckshots. Now we do allow you to use bird shots, of course, for those small game animals.
Correct.
So just kind of make note of that we don't allow any rifles. One other quick note that I'd like to add: we don't allow any ATV usage whatsoever on public land, which represents core property. So just kind of keep that in mind as well, that we don't allow any ATVs on the property. Yeah,
that's a good point. A lot of times hunters, they're used to doing a certain thing and using their ATV to get closer to their deer stand or something, but that is something that absolutely was, the Corps of Engineers asked hunters to not do, and that's great. And with the Corps of Engineers, we're big on safety.
That's right.
And I wanted to bring up some things. What are some safety recommendations that you have for not just hunters but people that might be close to a hunting area?
Okay. The number one safety issue, of course, if you're in a hunting area, I would advise you to make sure that you have on your orange gear. That's a requirement for both the state of Alabama and Georgia. If you're in a area that allows you to use some type of weapon, bow only areas, depending on the state, you can go without using your orange hunting materials, but I would advise you to wear it at all times. You really don't know who's out there. Of course, we have people that actually abide by the rules, but we have people that do not abide by the rules as well. So I would advise you to wear your orange, anytime you're out hunting. And main thing, just be respectful to the hunters that are in the area. Most of our areas, we do require you to sign in at the sign-in boxes. So just pay close attention to those areas and your surroundings as you're entering the hunting areas. If you do come up on an area that we have a sign-in box, we ask that you sign your name, your area where you're hunting, and we ask that you include your vehicle tag number due to safety reasons in case something were to happen to you while you were out hunting.
Yeah, and the big one, you mentioned where you're hunting, and that's important for that reason. Number one, most hunters, if you've got a 5-acre plot of huntable property, you don't really want to be right next to another hunter.
Correct.
But it's safety as well. It's good that the other hunters that are coming into the area know that you're there, for their safety, but not only yours as well. We never want the situation where two hunters are firing in the same direction or anything like that. So that's the point of that. It's really safety is the biggest thing. And A question that comes up a lot, and I'd like to bring up, is when the gates are open and closed at some of the areas at the lake, and I know it's confusing for some people, and really it's just to explain that a little bit more. I know there's a couple gated areas that do get open for parts of the year.
Okay. Yes, as Rocky has mentioned, on the Alabama side, there's an area that we close the gates, and that area is our Oakland Road hunting area. We open that gate the first day of deer gun season, and we will close it at the end of deer gun season. The area that we do the same issue with is Potts Road, Maple Creek area in Georgia. We'll open that gate first day of deer season, and we'll close it at the end of deer season. Reason being, we try and keep these roads up, and I mentioned about the fees that we charge for the permits. Like I say, that's more so towards an admin fee, but we do try and use some of that money to put back in these hunting areas, refurbishing the food plots that will provide different species habitat. Yeah. It's a good grazing site for deer as well, so we try and keep the hunters at our forefront.
Absolutely,
well.
and there's a lot into managing these wildlife areas, and you do a great job with it, Derek. And I know you've got a lot of exciting things coming up. You've got the handicapped hunts coming up, which we're going to be talking about in just a few months. So we look forward to that.
That's right.
And Derek, we always appreciate you being on the show and all your hard work at West Point Lake.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right, you guys stay tuned because we've got more great show. Thank you for watching the West Point Lake Update. I would like to thank Nick Hollebrooks for coming on and discussing hunting on the WMA and the use of your local shooting range, managed by the WMA. I also would like to thank Derek Wilkerson for informing us on the rules and regulations for hunting on West Point Lake. Just a reminder that all campgrounds on the lake are closed until late February, leaving several day-use locations for you to enjoy on the lake. Once again, thank you for watching, and always wear your life jacket when you're on the water.